Inclusion for everyone means different things. When we hear the word inclusion, we tend to think about social inclusion or cultural inclusion or gender inclusion. Emotional inclusion also is a major part of interpersonal relations, and all of these mean only one thing. All of us should make everyone feel valued and respected for what they are. I am today in my talk going to delve into emotional inclusion in partner relationships based on my experience. Cut to 2008. It's 6:30 p.m. on a Friday. I am at my desk at the Google Hyderabad office, done with my work. I start scrolling the profiles of single boys on Orkut. For the Gen Z here, Orkut was a widely used social networking platform 17 years back. My cubicle mates help me in shortlisting the boys, and I start chatting with them randomly. Once I'm done with the chat, I go to the cafeteria, have dinner, go home, and crash. On the Monday morning, when I log in, I see an email. Hi, how was your weekend? I was traveling. I could sense that this is one of the boys from Friday, but I failed to recall who and what made me share my email ID with him. I see that he has emailed 2 minutes back, so I quickly reply while opening a tab, a new one, and checking his profile. So I start talking to him, taking keywords from his responses and making interrogative sentences. And I type the first sentence. I say, "Which one are you?" Quick comes the reply. Mumbai, full stop, Merchant Navy, full stop. I am impressed. He gets the humor, he gets the point, and he uses the right keywords to refresh my memory. And while I reply, I'm done scrolling the profile and I remember who it is. So when I'm taking the keywords from his responses, I say, wow, Merchant Navy, when, how, why, and so on. So we continue chatting on Gmail, and after 6 months of online dating and 6 months of offline dating, we realize that we have this exciting camaraderie and we have this very good compatibility. We have had conversations on a wide spectrum of topics ranging from IPL, it was 2008, and the favorite member in the family, and pet care laws, and the best movies in Telugu, Marathi, Hindi, and English, and also childhood memories, sweet and bitter. After that, we run into these amazing conversations, and exactly when I feel that there is nothing more that we need to know about each other, he gets married to me. So phase one of dating done well. After we get married, over a period of time, I realize that all the compatibility we had and everything that we had in our reserves was not enough to go ahead peacefully. And I also see that we have connected emotionally, but there is something else that is required. So emotional compatibility was not enough. We needed inclusion in place. Now you would say, isn't emotional compatibility enough for a romantic relationship? Yes, it is. But if you decide to go ahead with the relationship and you decide on a long-term connect, then only compatibility is not enough. Inclusion has to come into play on a day-to-day basis. So when we started living together, I had observed this, and for example, I had always known that I am overtly expressive and he tends to be emotionally quiet and he tends to hold his emotional expressions back. We were clear about this during our dating period, But then once I got married, over a period of time, I started complaining that he is not telling me everything. Similarly, he started feeling that I am narrating everything in micro detail, which is not required. But we have been doing this earlier too. So here, in terms of inclusion, what we could have done is that he could have done mindful listening of what I had to say, because I was saying things based on my new adjustment into a new family. Similarly, I also had to remember before talking to him that now we are not communicating in isolation. He is not meeting me and talking to me in isolation. At home, he is a son, a brother-in-law, and an uncle and a husband on the same day. So it is possible that he forgets to tell me something immediately, as he used to tell me over that 1 hour phone call throughout the day. So now there was another situation where I felt that we both as partners could have handled things better. Cut to 2009. While we were dating, I had met his family members, and each time we met, we bonded really, really well. However, after I got married and I started to establish formal relation with the same members, the conflicts began to emerge. The conflicts began to emerge in terms of setting boundaries, expressing opinions. This is all normal, but my reaction to the situation was far from normal. So what we could have done here is that me and my husband as a team could have created an ecosystem that made me feel safe emotionally and would have saved me from a guilt trip after expressing my disappointments with the situation or the family. And also through that ecosystem, we could have set some ground rules for the family to follow while respecting the values of the family. But then both of us were married for the first time. We didn't do any of this. And then when we transition from a romantic relationship into a long-term relationship, all the things come into the scene, like the culture, habits, and the family rituals and everything. So having a dialogue with a partner is very, very important. It sounds cliched. My partner would even laugh if I say, let's talk. Some say this is the scariest sentence to begin a conversation. I need to talk. We actually need to talk. And the only question we need to ask is, how are you feeling? Sounds simple, but in every situation, at least for the initial few years after moving in together, we need to ask, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? The other person may not answer. The other person also may not give the correct answer. But then every question is building a bridge of communication that will help you in the long run. So I might say, I might have a dialogue like this. Wait, what you are saying is not what my experience looks like. I have changed because I have been adjusting to the new surroundings. And I am not accepting that I have changed because I am not comfortable with that. And you are still talking to the old me. And here I am complaining you are not understanding me anymore. So this is the situation we had to face. So inclusion here could be, including learning and change. As I said, while adjusting to the new settings, I did not realize that I was growing and evolving, basically changing. Because I was with myself all the time. I did not realize that. I did not understand that. And at the same time, I was expecting my husband to understand what was going through, me not understanding the situation. So I had turned into this fake positive person. I was a phony. I had turned into this fake positive person because I thought the family would accept me that way, and that was the only way to be accepted. I had also started believing that the relationship is going great because we had no fights, we had no arguments. Everything was going great practically. The family was in harmony, professional life was great. We also had lone time which we spent fruitfully. But the initial friendship was nowhere to be seen. We were not liking each other anymore, though we loved each other. So I understand that not all couples are meant to be with each other. Some are not meant to be with each other. They realize that and they separate. Good for them. But in my acquaintance, I have also seen couples who are meant to be each other, but they have gotten separated because they haven't had this inclusion in process. They haven't given that space for negotiation with the partner. So in that case, we have to understand that listening is the beginning of this process of emotional inclusion, and then understanding and always keeping a space available for the partner to reposition their psychological needs. I myself had almost walked out on my partner during lockdown. Both of us were at the rock bottom. That is when this introvert husband of mine takes the driver's seat and meticulously creates an environment where I feel emotionally safe expressing any kind of disappointment that might offend him. And I also, in that time, reposition, as I said, I reposition my psychological needs. Luckily, it was lockdown and we could not run away from each other. So we had time at our disposal to do the repair work, and this repair work must go on. And it is not a one-time thing. Inclusion is not a one-time process, and it is as detailed as a day-to-day interaction. We are all busy, but we still can squeeze out a few minutes to ask, how do you feel? So I believe that, like love, they say love is not a noun, it's a verb. Like love, inclusion also is not a noun, it's a verb. It's an ongoing process, and it doesn't stop with dating. It does not fade away with romance. As they say, what is love if it cannot survive the mundane? I have survived mine. What about you? Thank you.